characteristics. Well, lovely hesitation roll there. The Grob is powered by the ubiquitous Lycoming, and this time in its own 235 form, pushing out about 116 horsepower. Span is 30 clamshell canopy, a canopy over 2 side-by-side seats, very similar to the Firefly, the layout, and indeed the Piston Provost had the same layout as well, Terry.
I don't think you do that, the Piston Provost.
Oh, you might tempt Alan House. And a big barrel roll there, very nice. The production run is quite impressive, over 111 have been built. Some on the British Register, Romeo Alpha Fox Bravo, for example. It's got very smooth lines and straight leading edge, tapering trailing edge, swept fin and rudder, and all in all, a very fine version of the new modern light plate generation. Keeping it tight within radius of the display line, pulled up, my word, that loop was tight, rolled out 90 degrees, pulled away on the Bravo axis, away from us now, and looks like we're going to get a flick off the top of there. Oh, very nice. And held again. Stall turned back and back onto the display axis. Beautifully done. The Grob can have many variants of this family. You've got the original 112 and developed from that with a longer fuselage and sliding canopy, the 115 family, of which the 115A was the main production version. The 115D has a constant speed propeller, which makes life easier on the climb. One of the immortal aircraft of World War II. An aircraft conceived in the early 1930s to a tight specification for a torpedo spotter reconnaissance aircraft. Ferris had long been associated with the Fleet Air Arm and the design requirements, and this particular aircraft had the type designation internally of no less than TSR2, a name to conjure with. So this particular TSR2 was designed to operate from carriers of the Fleet Air Arm, and you can see the dummy 18-inch naval torpedo and a very steep climb out there. This particular aircraft was not built by Ferris. The two surviving airworthy Swordfish were both built by the company, even more famous company in some respects, of Blackburns. And that's where the majority of Swordfish were built, on the front, on the underside. And Swordfish were designed to act as the eyes of the fleet, to go out and strike against the major capital ships of the enemy. And they came in very many versions. You could have float plane equipped.
As well from Ark Royal, it sought and struck against the pocket battleship Bismarck, crippling its steering gear and enabling units of the home fleet to arrive and sink it. It scored the first ever submarine kill at night, and it arrived over the D-Day beaches. Its greatest ever was the, if you like, naval version.
I got that on camera.
Yeah, I think so.
You've been to the dock ships?
No, I didn't, because it's all right.
You just get it done, and then at least you've got a time on it on the insurance.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we wait Kestrel takes place, just a reminder to all of you, not just along the pipeline, talk deep shag at the moment. It is going to be very hot here today. Please don't overexpose, don't spoil your day by getting sunburned. It's not only painful, as we're finding here in the commentary box. If you think it's hot outside, well, you want to come in here.
Yes, please.
And there, the Kestrel lined up, so if you're not already on the crowd line, do come down, because things are well and truly underway.
Lydia? No. And I mean it.
Sail's already up.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the right, the very impressive Buffalo graduate.
Bit noisy, that, wasn't it? They said it would be nice.
This layout was used very effectively.
And Major Dick O'Brien establishing on the centre line there. It's got quite a short takeoff and landing capability. Whether he will demonstrate that today or just go for a roller, because the sky here is quite clear.
The Garrett Air Research turboprop wasn't quite big enough, and by fitting an uprated version in excess of 1100 shaft horsepower and a bigger propeller and lengthening the nose contours, then the maximum speed and mission endurance was finally met. 313 miles per hour is the max speed, and you can see that this is being flown with verve and elan today, and there's a bit of a wag on the way up. Tucanos are used mainly because they offer jet-like performance and indeed a fighter-style tandem cockpit layout, which gives an easy transition to the Royal Air Force's frontline fighter force. Running on the Bravo axis, landing lights up, and a steep pull-up indeed. Originally a Brazilian design, of course, now built by Shorts in Northern Ireland. And I'll have you over to Terry, who has even more details.
Well, we've got the pilot fly-on for you. It's Flight Lieutenant Johnny Sickles, who's a qualified flying instructor with 3 Squadron No. 1 Flying Training School at Pinton-on-Ouse. He's an ex-Lancing College, Chelmsford University College London, and began his career on the Bulldog Trainer, which we run away, and what better environment. A hefty beast with a complex and wide variety of armaments.
You have 2
So probably one of the most potent armaments carried by this latest version is the Royal Ordnance Factory 25mm pneumatic rotary cannon. This thing outperforms totally the US M61 gun. Greater
they didn't know.
power and shot, faster response times. This is a triumph of engineering, and the Royal Air Force is proud to show off the latest night attack capability.
No, I'm keeping the plane in the middle. Beautiful looking aeroplane, that.
7 miles an hour.
Jesus, my car goes faster than that.
A useful range to it. Just under 600 mile, about 550, 600 mile range.
The bottom plane is that
Very
popular
useful
than the
as
top.
a feeder liner. We use
You lose the sight
developing a lot of the city-to-city routes, both within the UK and into mainland Europe before the war, and they also made a useful contribution to the war effort.
They did. And what
Painful plane. Churchill had one.
in the dark days of 1939, 40, when the astronauts from Europe, civil reviews were impressed and were used to take much needed spares and equipment. And
Churchill had one as a transporter.
The British forces in France.
In fact, the number, quite large number, on the civil register in the 1950s, some 20 years after the type was introduced, just flipping through the
So that's the regular feed coming in again.
not quite as pretty, beautifully different, really.
See that programme on
Well,
I didn't get it all, I saw
1930s,
On the
airline flying.
Yeah.
I was such for the fact that pretty soon we will run out of Dragon Wing pilots.
Yeah, now this is the Navy. And as we saw yesterday, this chap knows how to throw a gazelle around.
Yes, as Terry said, the Gazelle, a very sprightly performance, being conferred by its Astazoo turboshaft engine. It's only mounted above the model-like fuselage. There you can see coming up in the rotary equivalent of a wing over. It's a 90-180. And there we go, hammering down the centre line. Very attractive aircraft with the tail rotor. One of a triplet of Anglo-French designs, including the Lynx and the Puma. So a cooperation between Aerospatiale and Western.
The ladies underneath, unfamiliar with the world of air shows the Navy loves to advertise.
Having a very wicked, very long barrel, 20mm anti-tank cannon strapped on the port door. It was very versatile. Instructor 10 and no less than 735 examples of it. The Royal Air Force equipping almost every primary flying training service. One until the T-10 arrived at the aerobatic Chipmunk came to
Great position, formation $2, flying from those straight Romeo, taken by most of the aircraft with the nearest bar. The pilot doesn't do that, just find a useful bar. There they are, wing over the top of the roof, stall German, swinging down across the airfield, straight on.
Almost every country you can think of, not just the United States Navy, the United States Army Air Force, but believe it or not, Columbia and the Philippine Command, the red, green and white roundels and the good old Royal Air Force roundel too. Innovation today is somewhat
Nearest you, the Miles Messenger RG-333, piloted by Chris Fielder, and over the other side, be, how can I put this, owned, if that is the word, 1944. Trevor Martin flew the General to visit his troops stationed here in southern England, poised to take part in Overlord, the invasion of Normandy. And when the troops actually crossed, then General had to be patient for a few days before going over to France in RG-333 to follow up his units. Now, there are a number of apocryphal and quirky stories about RG-333 and its adventures with the General. Those of you familiar with RE history and aviation history, one in terms of a genuinely historic race and record-winning aircraft, and the other commemorating a very famous general and, I might say, a very intrepid flight lieutenant pilot. So our thanks to Chris Fielder and to James Buckingham Esquire, and to Air Total for painting the aircraft so prettily over the last couple of years. There you are. That shows that these aircraft have got a nice stalled capability. They're not quite Harriers, but they can turn inbound quite neatly, and if asked, can practically fly themselves into the static park.
Well, George Miles did a good job on designing all his aircraft. They had peculiar quirks, the large fixed double wing almost, giving a Junkers type appearance to his designs. Into the baby Avro York, it looked just like it, 4 engines. Cornwall, the designer of the immortal Bristol fighter, at the Bristol Aeroplane Company. and the 500 horsepower Aquila engines. But by adding two 750 horsepower Bristol Mercuries, it became obvious that they created something of a stir. When put under test by the Royal Air Force, it proved to be 30 miles an hour faster than the Gloucester Gauntlet fighters just entering service, and a quick rework from a low wing to a mid-wing position, and addition of military equipment gave rise to the Blenheim 1. This entered service with number 19 Squadron, sorry, 114 Squadron, and was used to exploit only World War II aircraft to serve in all commands of the Royal Air Force: fighter, bomber, training, transport, coastal commands. It was a little underpowered and undergunned at the start of World War II, but managed to perform the very first photo reconnaissance sortie over the German fleet at Wilhelmshaven on the 3rd of September 1939. And later, aircraft from Royal Air Force Wind performed the first strike in an attempt to drop bombs onto the German fleet and installations on the German coast. The Mark IV, you can see here, was a developed version of the one and had a longer nose carrying a scalloped section to port to enable the pilot to see over the navigator's position. Regrettably, the Mercury engines didn't keep pace with the inevitable growth in weight, and this led to a degradation of performance. The fastest you can see as the Blenheim sweeps by from right to left. There's a large box-shaped structure underneath the fuselage. This contains 4 303 Browning machine guns. This was manufactured by the Southern Railway's workshops at Ashford in Kent, and converted the Blenheim bomber to a Blenheim fighter. When you add in another Browning carried in port wing of the Vickers 303K machine gun in the turret, you had yourself something that could tackle the lightly armed Dornier 17s and Heinkel 111s. Unfortunately, the third of the trio of Luftwaffe bombers, the Junkers 88, bore an uncanny resemblance to the layout of the Blenheim. And there were several rather tragic misidentifications and shoot-down incidents. The Blenheim also was developed as a night fighter and managed to obtain the very first kill using radar, airborne interception radar, and unfortunately, it was found this to be a little bit marginal in performance. The Blenheim story is one of added weight and static engine power, never a happy combination. Then successfully exported to Finland and Yugoslavia. They're manufactured in Finland and being used by Romania, manufactured in that country also. And the Blenheim has a distinction, if you can call it that, by the British and by the Finns and Romanians on the Axis side, and also being used by a neutral country, by Finland. This particular aircraft has been lovingly restored following the loss of the first Blenheim project. Graham Warner and his team at the Imperial War Museum at Duxford took an airframe that they had initially rejected and managed to work a few mains far into it, and took the remains of no less than 22 Bristol Mercury engines to get Mark IV with its long nose, or the Mark I with a short nose. And hopefully, as they've already rung the changes between an all-black night fighter version, which this aircraft appeared in Coastal Command, and I dare say we'll see the mix of Mark IV bomber and some ideas of the tail group of the Blenheim and the wings and much bigger Taurus engines. The Bristol boatful torpedo bomber,
The one attached to the line hander.
And the sound of those gypsy major and another fine de Havilland airplane taxiing past. The younger cousin of the Tiger Moth, the Chipmunk, which in fact replaced the Tiger Moth after the war. A moment late, and he's flying the aeroplane in the colours of our sponsors, Olympus Cameron. And 1, 2, 3. 6 aircraft breaking away. Whilst the number 9 man, Ken Whitehead, who normally flies 767s for British Airways, leading in the three-dimensional sphere. This is an aerobatic aeroplane, and Ken's going to show us the half Cuban, while his wingmen put in a wing over the rebuild flight, and is still instructing something at which he excels. And after all that careful throttle work, they're back, coming from the right, for a formation which reflects the larger and faster aeroplane, Tornado. Now for the arrow break.
His brother actually joined the French resistance during the war, and he used the code name La Croix. Well, when Marcel came back out of the concentration camp at the end of the war, very much a vintage piece of machinery, this one, but with a very, very long shelf life.
Yeah, it's powered by 2 unusual engines, my Renault 12-cylinder inverted V engines, putting out about 580 horsepower a side, air-cooled, and there's...
Newton was right, what goes up does in fact come down. And again, please watch as they do the opposition roll. Now the closing speed there was somewhere in the region of 200 miles an hour, and as they go out to join up, I'll tell you something about the pilots. Rover 1, the Rover Marks aeroplane, is being flown by Brian Lecombe. Brian Lecombe is an immensely experienced air display pilot, having done somewhere in the region of 2,500 displays, over far more years than he'd care to admit to. He started Firebird Aerobatics about 15 or 16 years ago, and Firebird are now in their second season being sponsored by Rover. And as you'll notice, one of the aircraft is marked in Rover corporate colours, the other in the logo of the MGF. Now as they roll in towards you, in step-down formation, I can tell you the other pilot is Alan Wade. Alan is currently concentrating very hard on Brian's tail wheel to remain in formation as they go over for the crooked loop. Now this neatly brings them from the straight and towards you axis to side by side. Now Alan's been with... Now as Brian slides into... the first of which is a manoeuvre called a Lomchevac. But I told you, Alan likes this aeroplane. Now this aeroplane is extremely manoeuvrable. It will do a 360-degree roll in 1 second. Somebody who Alan gave a ride to last year referred to the view out the front as like looking at a picture postcard on the end of an electric drill. As he comes over the top, coming down on the 45, and we should see him use those ailerons once again for the odd flick or two. Now on a day like today, when the weather's quite thick, so when the wind, what am I talking about? When the air's quite thin, he's not going to get quite as many in, but he's certainly going to try. Now, here he goes up. Rolling it round on the top of that manoeuvre, working out where the ground is so they can avoid it, rolling to use a little bit of speed up. Up rolling, turning those rolls into flicks. Roll. Group aerobatic display team. Melvin, thank you, and thanks to the guys. Royal Artillery pilots, many of them members of the Royal Artillery Flying Club, were certain that the way forward had to be artillery pilots, gunner officers first, pilots second, flying light and unarmed aircraft and controlling their guns. The contribution of the air observation post squadrons, with their diminutive officers, flying from the desert, flying over Burma,
Does it?
You grew up there a bit yourself, do you?
Mm.
Yeah, I'll go quite a few times. After the show. Yeah, it's different. It's an interest, isn't it?
I'm not funny.
That's right, yeah. It goes on, you just take it, something takes you and I just like walk.
Keep your hands away from the doors and remain in your seat. The emergency stop button is located
And that's about all you'll see, I expect.
The bubble bit underneath.
Oh,
Where the gunner sits.
that was the one that carried the...
Oh, put it on that table.
Yes, the Bell 47 just missed out on being a World War II ender, flying in 1945 after the war had been completed. The initial version.
And the T9 as the Mark 9, for some reason I keep calling it a T9, which is a Spitfire classification, and certainly not an Oster. But the Mark 9 is the Malaysian Oster, but its role was not in the Air Corps from its early beginnings as a corps in 1957. But its role exactly as that for its early Oster progenitors, that of observation and correction of gunfire. And the helicopter components assembling themselves on what we refer to as the B-axis. They're all playing about down there in the centre of the airfield. From the right, I can see what's virtually identical. One with skids, one with wheels, one coming off decks, one coming off grass.
No.
And now in a slight departure from the replicas, sit along with the glamorously painted Fokker Tridecker. But the flight there getting itself together and led by retired Major Ian Cornell.
That's a full-size
first generation piston
triplane.
engine helicopters and the first two turbines line up for a formation land.
C58 2/3 size.
And they won't be going immediately to display dispersal.
No, you are not having one. Anybody want to roll? Patty!
They have special message that they asked you to deliver to some rather special people. So, ladies and gentlemen, landing from the right, the Army Historical Aircraft Flight.
Gentlemen, running in right to that key, very, very quick.
Missed it!
Voice annual survey bound with full reading capability. This is an Anglo-French production, and I'm sure you all enjoy that as a critical role. Jaguar very appropriately since its main business is zapping the enemy and the forward of the battle all through.
You will note now the Army Historic Aircraft Flight are proceeding in line abreast towards the VIP enclosure. This is their salute to a distinguished group of airmen to whom the Army Air Corps owes its origins. The bow from the helicopters, and I can only quote what is written before me. Major Ian Cornell and his team wish all past and present members of the Army Air Corps and the Glider Pilot Regiment the very best of good fortune for the future. Ladies and gentlemen, from us in the commentary box, we echo that in spades.
Spades?
Marvellous photo opportunity for those of you down to the left now as the historic aircraft flight cruise down at the hover taxi. The Skeeter just passing us. The Alouette. The Scout, most recently retired from the active list. And Jim Camp trundling the DHC-2 Beaver past us there.
Ow! Got it.
Nice.
As the Gustav. Squadron leader Dave Sarnwell staggered into the air.
Wow.
Big out to the hole. And we're about to send our aircraft recognition.
You're gonna film it?
Yeah. He calmly told us that the tornado was running through. Although it must have been this morning.
They sound similar, don't they? Probably because it's probably not really the authentic one. Oh no, it is. They're showing it. That's what you're saying.
Show me up.
Now you know why when the army flies, you have to have escorts over there because people keep shooting at the wrong aeroplanes. Maybe the next time we bring the Jaguar in, we'll get it escorted by a walrus. But lining up the next component on the display shot slot should be the SE5As and the Drydecker, also down the other end,
Have the what?
taking off downwind, the
Why, 'cause it's
Gustav,
so unstable.
and also to go the Mark 9 Spitfire, or has he gone? I had my eye on the book. He went. So those two World War II aircraft have disappeared out of the hold. As in the next few minutes, we are going to ask you to step back in time with us yet again, not to the battlefields above the English countryside, but in fact to, can one say it, a far more lethal war for all concerned. In 1916, the first BAF was about to embark upon one of its longest and bloodiest sustained campaigns throughout the First World War, that of the Somme offensive, in which the Royal Flying Corps demonstrated beyond all doubt the role that would be played in the future by Army aircraft. We will show you in the next few minutes just a little of what it might have been like, and we'll ask you to stretch your imagination a bit, not towards the green and peaceful fields of the Hampshire countryside, but from the shell-popped, shell-torn wastelands that was Flanders. First in the air, Major Nick O'Brien in the museum zone, a replica triplane, and next to go, the members of the Great Bustard Flying Club from nearby Boscombe Down, in their trio of replica, slightly less than full-size SE5As.
Yes, Terry, the SE5A was a production of the Royal Aircraft Factory at Farnborough.
Home in those days to 609 Squadron with its Spitfires under the leadership of George Darley. The squadron recovering from France in battered condition, welded together by George Darley's leadership and operating from here and also from the detached stations of Warmwell, where it protected not only the...
Well, certainly here you have two of the chief protagonists of World War II by marvellous action.
Steadily behind your target, and once in range, press home the attack, do not break off. And they're chasing the Gustav down across the airfield. You can hear the chatter of those 8... Ladies and gentlemen, look, crowd right, running in from right to left. We present Nico.
Streaming smoke from numbers 3 and 4 into the vertical on the B axis. Very, very tight formation there. And as always, transition formation changes occurring smoothly and during looping manoeuvres where possible. Now sweeping in towards crowd centre. Here's a great shot for all you photographers.
Lisa, come here, quick.
Well-established and experienced teams on the circuit. They take part in anywhere between 100
Bar 4 formation. The formation is now tightened up as the leader brings them round to establish on display line. The Harold, the Pratt & Whitney can push this little PC-7 along for 310 miles an hour. Very similar basic top speed to the Tucano and other turboprop trainers. And as we said in art, form follows function, so it does in aircraft. And you can see the straight wing and square cut tips and turboprop engine which go to make up the modern military trainer.
Now most of these guys, needless to say, with a background on French Mirage Air Force pilot, an instructor on the little Fouga Magister before going to Strasbourg Reconnaissance Squadron on the Mirage 2. One of his claims to fame is that in the period from 1979 to 1984, He was one of those very rare pilots who really was part of the founding fathers of Patrie de France, the French version of the Red Arrows. And he flew not only the little butterfly toad, Fuga Magistin, but also